Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Thanks also to Stevie Gee, who entertained us through a maze of some technical difficulties, which I believe are now resolved, and it's on with the show. Welcome to the launch of There Is a Place, Ivy Reiss's first book of poetry. I'm Allan Briesmaster, the book's publisher, and I'll be your main host for this event. It's coming to you from the That Channel studio in Toronto, and I'm coming to you from a remote location in Thornhill, north of the city. Here's how the show will unfold. I'll introduce Ivy very shortly, and you'll hear her read from her book for a little over 20 minutes. Then we'll have about a 10-minute intermission during which guitarist and singer Stevie Gee will perform for us. Right after that, we'll have a performance of a microdrama from the book featuring Ivy and two special guests, Brenda Clews and Jennifer Hossein. And after that, we'll hear short readings by Jennifer and Brenda, and a third special guest, Lisa de Nikolits. Sorry, I goofed that. Lisa de Nikolits. I and Ivy will read a couple of final poems. That will be followed, if all goes well, by a question and answer segment and a quiz for a free book giveaway. And I'll tell you how you can order the book. Then finally, we'll have a band come on for a musical close to the night. Ivy Reiss has been performing and writing as a poet, host, event coordinator, and keynote speaker for over a decade. Her poetry has been published in many anthologies and magazines. As a freelance writer, she reviews theater, restaurants, and luxury destinations and interviews artists in Europe, Northern Ontario, and the Greater Toronto Area. Ivy is the founding publisher, editor-in-chief, and current art director of the Artiste Art and Culture magazine, and coordinator and host of the Artiste Ivy Reiss talk show. And if that isn't enough, she also did all of the design work for the cover and text of this beautiful book. In the words of Joyce Wayne, There Is a Place speaks of love and loss while mapping the delicate ways the lonely heart survives. Take an enchanting guided tour with Reiss to discover a profound and courageous vision of what it means to be human, or, as she writes, there is more than meets the eye for those who look closely. And the Minerva Reader has this to say: from childhood traumas, friendships, love, social injustice, happiness, loneliness, loveliness, and death, there is most certainly a place in my heart for this rich and emotive collection. Reiss is unafraid to walk into the shadows where truth and hope may reside and possibly triumph. Reading this collection is like watching an evanescent firefly glowing in the dark. Now here is Ivy Reiss reading from There Is a Place. Ivy.
Hi, thank you everybody, and thank you so much, Allan. That was a beautiful introduction, and I want to thank you so much for standing behind me, making this project a reality for my first collection, There Is a Place, and also to the audience for tuning in. This has been a very difficult time for everybody, the last year of 2020, as we all know, and there's always technical issues. I'd like to say that thatchannel.com has finished renovations, and we've reset up the audio system in the main studio, which is one of the things that contributed to tonight's delay. So thank you for your patience, and be assured that I hope the rest of the show will unfold very well. And And again, I'd like to thank Stevie Gee on guitar. And at the end of the show, we'll have the whole band join us, which would be Hugh on bass and Joe on drums. But for now, Steve will play a backing track for my first poem. And then after intermission, he will join us doing music on the microdrama, which Allan will tell you more about. And as Allan indicated, I will be reading for the next 20 minutes. I'll do about 6 poems. And, old habits die hard. And as many of you know, I often open with the poem called Freedom of Mind. And I thought maybe I wouldn't this time. But then Steve introduced this groove to me. And you know what? It's a good icebreaker for myself and maybe for everyone else too. And it remains relevant, even though I wrote it in 2008. And so if I come across as a white rapper chick, it wasn't my intention. And it doesn't mean I don't want anyone tuning out thinking the rest of the event will sound that way. But it's good to try new things, and I'm going to let Steve take it away. And I'm going to come in with Freedom of Mind, our first piece. My heart beats, the adrenaline races, the speed is on, oh God, with it I soar, seeking deeply to escape confines that keep my mind. Now, there are many ways you may approach this fact. In another country where freedom lacked, someone came to me and said, I know we haven't met, but if you crave freedom and your body is trapped, you can always take the next step. Body over mind, it keeps us confined, but through daily discipline and aesthetic existence, we may find mind over body and thus freedom of mind. These are Oriental beliefs, but once attained, there are fruits to be reaped. And then we have those inner city eccentric folk who swear and preach and boast upon the wonderful freedoms that arose through the use of psychedelics and an achieved out-of-body experience. But let's not forget Strassman's DMT molecule and all the other forms of school and pools of thought that have permeated their epochs with the various ways to attain the much sought after freedom of thought. Freedom from the church, freedom for our own beliefs, freedom for freedom of speech. In societies where we were taught everything right down to our trains of thought. Now, in this day and age, with all the media that comes your way, remember to be true to yourself. Remember that freedom of mind lies in the truth you find. Freedom of mind. Thank you. I'm not sure I've ever done the piece like that, and of course it's so difficult when you can't see the audience or hear the applause. But I know that you're there, and I thank you for tuning in. Once again, that was Stevie Gee on guitar. And so I'm going to do a few more poems, and then we'll head into a very, very short intermission and come back with the microdrama. And you've been playing for some time, so please do take a break. And I'm going to move into a short little poem here. And I guess I should let everybody know that there is a place obviously launched this year in 2020, and it's 10 years of poetry, about 12 years of poetry, mostly between 1998 to about 2012, with a handful of new poems. And I'm very excited to get this out. And so this next piece is one of those handful of newer poems, and it's called Feather Red, or it can also be read as Feathered. I sent him off without a kiss. I sent him off with a feather of red, a bottle and a crimson cinnamon candle. I bid him to collect water from the river Tiber and sands from the Ionian seas, to seal the bottle with wax sanguine and bring it back to me. Without a kiss, it felt as if we had not said goodbye. And so I sent a feather instead, a heart-emblazed bottle, and a candle. For without goodbye, this parting is not forever. Thank you. This next poem is called Libra Scales. And I mean, since we're so informal here, I took so many. I'm going to have a sip of tea. I want to thank everyone again for tuning in. And this poem here, Libra Scales. The silence followed the fever in such a way that no one stirred from their houses with the sun that rose that day. And it seemed to those who looked outside their windows' hazy light that even the sun had delayed his rise into that morning sky. As the dawning hours edged on, outside the birds were the only ones to make a sound. For everything else was either broken or bound, and the eggshells lay upon the ground. And yes, it is true, although we know not why, that night the sun delayed his rise. In breaking the night's lingering air, perhaps it was to prolong the darkness and obscure us from being seen, so we could maintain survival and elude the coming atrocity. Or maybe the delay was simply in mourning memory. Sitting still inside, a swelter was rising, while in the bedrooms of the houses people whispered, "The pendulum of the fever rocks and tilts. We are drained from the effort to regain balance." But so it is and will always be the weight of all things, Libra Scales. Thank you. I don't think I've read that piece before. If I had, it's possible only once. And again, I'd like to thank Allan Briesmaster. We did a swoop of edits on this book, and it was a second swoop of edits. The first one was done with Norman Christoffoli, and I think it's fair to say that, a lot of people don't know. I think everyone tuning in tonight probably does, but in general, most people who buy books don't know that every book has an editor, and regardless of whether it's poetry or prose, and that's just like any newspaper. And I think it's important for the public to know that behind every good book is a really good or are really good editors. And it's, again, very important in my mind that we keep talking about the publishing industry to keep it alive. And the other thing about printing and paper is that it cannot be censored. And I think that's becoming more important now than it has in a long time. This next piece is called After the Sword, and it is another piece that I have not read live. The futile follow of the off-kilter swing between sword and sore, leading to the battle's indelible stains, as inescapable as the sword remains, soldered tightly to my soul, fastened to my right side bone. I come down hard, under the oncoming waters that pour from life itself. The good china hardens, yet the clay and bone ash remain. Unable to contain the fluid within, this finery cracking from plinth to gold carat lip, for all to see, gawking. I abandoned my effigy castling to dig a burrow against the one by one advances of the cavalry. With time this burrow became a cave, and still the water poured through. Inside, the stalagmites ascended, united with the descended stalactites. As the kiln burned on, the good china resolute, the resilience oxidized sulfur dioxide, the suffocating ceiling rancid as rape, soldiering on the sentinel brings the omen of incomplete combustion, of carbon as a scentless, colorless mercy. This answers the wail of the inextricable sword, the water unclean and cold. The bones calcined after burning left behind, unabsorbed remnants of clay and bone ash remain. I raise my right hand and volunteer to stoke the fire harder, towards destruction of self to end this, swinging between the desiccated emotions, the sword and no longer counters the unbearable sore. The floodgates crack open under pressure, the water pushes forth. Caught on the inside of the flood, I wish to, but I cannot contain the water to stop it from pouring out. I am left swinging through the trough, the ceiling opens up. The stalagmites drift like life rafts, and I am still sore after the sword. But deliverance begins with nothing left to lose. Outside, the broken cave under a moonlit sky. The battle on the fields has subsided. A single coal burns to mark the junction. I stand amid the powdered calcium of my bone china, without soaring, at last absorbing the pouring rain. Thank you. Thank you so much. How I wish I could see all of you, but I know you're there. And a few people in the studio here are enthusiastic. Woo! And so I'm going to do a couple more pieces. And I'd like to give a special shout out to my dad, who's tuning in somewhere from Halliburton via Friends Internet. And that's pretty cool. He's in his 80s. So, yeah. And I'm just going to move on with this other piece here called Miss Baroness. And it is composed like a letter. My dear Miss Baroness, I covet your company more than ever and like never before. I need you to consume this all-consuming misery, heartache, and woe. They are bleeding, my sorry seas, reaching this heartland into splintered pieces, and the valleys have gone arid, the orchards are barren, the people have become muzzled with this oppression. These words to you, Miss Baroness, will be the last sounds that we can muster. And they cannot resonate much longer. The words, since you left, Miss Baroness, I have done everything to find you. Often I have slept by day and searched by night, traveled over barren land and barren plains and violent seas. I scoured this land endlessly. The panic drives me forward, but my mind clouds as these days have turned to months, and now we are near a year. The people here are dying too. I cannot give them what they need. In case you have forgotten us, remember how, when you were here, this land had a shine. The trees sparkled off the lakes like emeralds fine. The sky was opal with the pearl or cerulean with gold. And now the air remains cold, the winds rain. We, the people, are ravaged by the hurricane. I think back on your magnetic allure. Before you came here, we were barely surviving. You brought this barren land your bounty until the orchards blossoms with fruit on the trees. We began then to know the difference of existing between thriving and what the difference means. Now, as I write to you, Miss Baroness, the land looks old as the colors wane. We, the people, are aging and starving as sour fruits lie fetid on the ground. The lakes are near empty, the forest almost perished, and the animals are gone. Your departing was so abrupt, we are beyond bereft. On the outskirts, the sirens have made their final cries. The protesting oceans have turned on us too, sending violent winds. The sand and dust obscures everything. The sun gives us only a tarnished glow, and soon it will die too. We were as unprepared for your absence as we were for the bounty and joy you brought. The time for us to heal and grow was simply not enough. The madness we kept at bay has now returned. We believed in you. We were never prepared for the joy you would bring. We were not prepared for the sudden killing of the spring. Unspeakable pains are resurfacing beyond what we can bear. Miss Baroness, words cannot suffice to measure this despair. We cannot see the way forward, and we know we cannot go back. I have found that most of us cannot go on living without you. And this is not the first time, but this is my last chance. Please hear what I must tell you. Your barrenness consumes my entity and also this land whole. Miss Baroness, we must know, with or without your company, what may we look forward to? Were your crystalline prisms emptier than the ravenous void we carry within ourselves? After knowing you as we did, can our wounds ever heal? How and where can we escape to? The borders are closed, and you were the one who knew the way. Miss Baroness, you know, we trusted you. But you took the flint, the only thing that was ours, the only spark we had. How will we know how to muster the wholeness you gave us? At least tell us, will you ever come back? The desolation you left is devouring us all, Mother Earth, essence and soul. Thank you. Thanks. I feel like I should let Allan perhaps say a couple words to break it up, and then I'll do maybe 2 more poems before we head into intermission, if Allan is able to.
Okay. Here I am.
Keep reading.
I didn't know exactly what your program was in this segment, and you really challenged yourself with some long and elaborate poems. But you have a really strong delivery, and it's really great to hear them after having worked on them over a period of months. I look forward to hearing more poems, and it's going to be interesting to hear a couple of other people.
These are quite long, and for some reason, usually my sets don't always have the long ones, but I felt it was so important for today's. And I'm going to try, okay, I'll do a little short one to break it up, which I would try to do anyway, because I do have another long one I really want to read. And so, yeah, I'll do this short one, and then I'll move into a couple more, and then we will take our intermission and kick off with the microdrama. This one is called Timeless Things. To speak of timeless things, as we said we would, we did. In a language that came in wordless simplicity, in beautiful ineffability, yes, we spoke of timeless things. Thank you. And I will do another short one, which is also a little lighter before I move into some heavier poems, the two longer ones. This one is called Aphrodite. It's a bit of a fun piece. A lot of alliteration. Could be a tongue twister. Could try and do it really fast, but that would just kibosh this event for sure. Aphrodite. The seashell soap dish lay on its back, an oyster shell really cradling the Venus Aphrodite. This seashell soap dish emerged from the sea foam, as she once did. Its inner curve, holding her humbly and homely, the outside shell rough, riding the rocky crests. Sitting pretty in pearl-smooth baths, this Aphrodite lay in your oyster shell soap dish, waiting for your latent love. Thank you. We should make a new tongue twister with that one. The people in the studio agree. Okay. Well, might as well, since we're on the short one, this one actually works with the long one I'm going to do. So I'm going to do this little short piece here. It's called Profit. I think it's quite straightforward. We strive for profit, profit and gain, profit off life. Oh, what a shame. We live in a world where the poor are under attack. We work day in, day out with an acceptable percent of the knife in our back. I burn the flag for values sworn. I also burn the flag to keep warm. And I think it's important, you know, over the last few years especially, I've, you know, a lot of sayings, I think many of you know, have truth. And we've all heard this saying, starving artist. And of course, in the last few years, I've noticed just how true that is. And so one of the things I'm looking to do, and we here at that channel are looking to do, is to change that. And because art, as I'm sure many of you have noticed, especially the word art and poet, I noticed even before COVID, is being exploited a lot more, in my opinion. You have pubs called the Poet Pub. You have the word art being thrown around for condo developments, things like that. And really, as I've talked about a lot in my show, which many of you are familiar with, The Artiste with Ivy Reiss, art informs everything that we do. In every way, right down to the cell phone you chose, the clothing you picked, you know, even the TV, your living room furniture, the car you buy, every moment of every day, the mugs in your kitchen, the design of your home, the curtains. the desk, even a pen that you prefer, perhaps, aside from how it writes. Every single thing we do is informed by art, right down to the design of a license plate and civil engineering for streets. Yet, I think that artists are often overlooked and underlooked, for that matter, and they're certainly not paid well, and or paid at all, and also it's not appreciated, but it's used to sell other things, like a condo unit, for example, or make a bar seem trendy when people are just going there to drink, but it's called the Poet's Bar. So it's something I think that we need to bring a lot more awareness into, the fact that the arts are just as important as the sciences. And of course, I think many people listening tonight might have degrees in the humanities, as I also myself do, and being told, oh, are you going to be a teacher, is often what you hear if you tell people you're taking English literature. And but really, you know, most people who work at banks have a bachelor in their English degree. So that's just something to think about. Now, this next piece is called Providence. And I would like to say, because this is a bit political, this piece, but even if you look at politicians, many of them have law degrees. And law schools prefer hiring people with a humanities degree, because we are taught to think outside of the box. And just something else to think about. And this piece is called Providence. And then I will do one more piece and we'll break for intermission. Providence. Good enough was an understatement at best. He heard the voice of Providence. Early in his life, a lack of competence, they said it was. And over the years, through poverty and travel, he formed his vision in vain. In his vanity, following a voice, he preached of the racial soul, a message from Providence, he said it was. A conqueror he did become, as two others before him. He believed he was the final third, that it was a self-fulfilled prophecy. As long as the folk believed it to be true, it made it easier to do what they were told. Disapproving their disloyal expectations, he hoodwinked the highest people in office. He rose to the top and wasted no time, changing the laws, extinguishing the opposition, and any non-compliance. He made himself untouchable and then systematically came down upon them all, following through with his aim to conquer the world and form it in his vision and vein. The Redeemer, the Savior, they said his spirit lived. He preached the nation as the nation became him, the instrument of providence in the eternal and everlasting motherland of implicit allegiance. And those who died were said to be martyrs. Good enough was an understatement at best. It was the voice of Providence. Thank you. Thank you. I will leave it to everyone watching to guess who that might be about. I can say with certainty all of you know who this person is. And there's some clues within the poem, of course. But that being said, it is more relevant than ever, more relevant with what's happening today in the world, and especially in the United States. And it's just something to think about, because I think history, of course, is very important. I think we all know that. I think it's fair to say. And the fact alone that when you eliminate cursive writing from the elementary schools, you take away the ability, in my opinion, it's one of the ways to take away the ability for people to examine the past. For children, that is, as you know, by the time in 10 years, 15 years when they're in university. And if you can't look at the past, you certainly can't learn from it, which makes it, of course, difficult to move forward. And we need to study the past in order to change the future. So I will read one more piece, and I'm a bit torn. If the audience was here, I would ask them, which I should do. I have an older piece that I could do, which is very familiar to people. And maybe I will do that one. And I'll save the other one for after intermission. So for people who've seen me read live, this is called The Coast. It's one of my favorite pieces. And for anyone new tuning in, I hope you like it as well. The Coast. On and on, the coast goes on, and in response, brows furrow, knots, sinews so tight, bunched up, and then night. The snow is gone, and still we go, on and on, depending upon the passage of way the coasters take us on today. To mountains high, and so unsteady, through snow and sleet, cold and plenty. And then I gazed into your eyes, looked up the sky, so slate it was, and just like that I was crazy, dizzily, a woe undone, sometimes easily. First thing I knew at morning dew, selfless was something I had never been, to the East Coast. So instead we rode up and down, back and forth, through this town. You are by my side, but I still miss you, like a part of us has died. The snow was thick, cold and plenty. Rain came heavy, quick and steady. I warmed the fog, and from the outside I saw deep within something twisting itself, trying to win. A voice cried up, gathered the crowd, turning to stare at who was left alone and standing there. In the cold, in the snow, so cold and plenty, in the rain, so fast and steady, in mountains high and oh so rocky, and in the fog so thick and heavy. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're just going to take about a 7-minute break because it took us so long to get started. Thanks again for your patience. Stevie Gee is going to come back up on stage. He's going to get set up because he's going to help us with the micro drama that I am pleased to announce will be performing with Jennifer, Hossein, and Brenda Clews. So please stand by if you need to, do what you need to do. And we'll come back within about 7 minutes, and Steve will be here playing, and we'll kick off part 2 of the event. Thank you very much. Alan, I'll let you take away the rest.
Wow. Well, thank you, Ivy. That was very full and also very intense. So I think we are ready to have a break. First of all, Stevie, thank you. Thanks a lot. That was a treat. Now, the next piece, as Ivy describes it, it's called The Tragic Tale of a Chameleon. And in her words, it's a micro piece. Like most art, it can't fit into a box, whether it be poem or drama. The chameleon character speaks to the oppressed, the unseen, the children, the abused, neglected, and forgotten in society. In the most unfortunate cases, they end up with severe mental health issues that ostracize and alienate these individuals more, only adding to the negative cycle of misunderstanding and loss, while in the worst cases, disassociation takes hold. The fact that mental health is talked about more and less stigmatized now is helpful, and the viewer and listener may see that there can be hope at the end of the tunnel. Here is The Tragic Tale of a Chameleon.
Found a chameleon who can't remember what it was like before she forgot. When the sparks have long faded, lost in minor deep thought.
Now I've hired a chameleon who'll blend in quite well. A good example for the rest when I fire that empty shell. Oh, hello there, chameleon. Excuse me if I keep on looking at you, or rather looking through that hole in your head. And if I step on your ordinary plain color, it's simply because I don't have the time. Ignored chameleon. Don't bother speaking up. I've got your thoughts covered. Do you really mind?
So go ahead. Go on.
Keep on talking.
Keep on a-talking.
Like a bullet through the head.
Come on.
Bring it on.
Just help yourself.
It's time you put it on.
Wait.
Have just enough.
Be considered greedy.
And you best be careful.
'Cause I'll stop smiling.
Through my hate.
God damn it. I said wait.
When I say there's no time to be late.
I said washed up. You're washed out after I've been so damn generous to you. Handing you handed down leftovers of life. I think it's time you better get out. Because, chameleon, I needn't again mention that you are the infection that's infamous for being unwelcome. Tricky, 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 tricky chameleon. Oh, I don't care. Can't you see? Haven't you figured it out yet? I don't care for eccentricities of your kin. Simple small talk is all you've got, and honestly, that just won't cut it for long enough. You're simply a chameleon of a natural imbecility, pretending to be someone in a hierarchy. How about for once you think about me when I'm left hanging in the air? Once again, that effing chameleon has disappeared.
Disappeared through floorboards into thin air. After many years, a small fibrous piece of tissue, seeming weak, was the final straw that broke Chameleon's back and held together the remaining threads like a filament. Broken through, it burnt out. Unaware, she turned off inside herself, and for an unknown eternal time drifted in a semi-state, away and in, into and down, in a place where even her own thoughts barely made a sound.
Oh, hello there, chameleon. How many months has it been? I couldn't help but notice you, as unnoticed as chameleons are. You know, the other day, I thought of you, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember what it was you said. Oh, come now, please. No. Don't run away. Stay and chat a while, for old time's sake. Because I care. I'm only asking. Only trying to make small talk. When I say, did you ever manage to get that burden off your back? Because I'm very earnestly concerned. And I thought you should know that by now, chameleons like you aren't allowed on pedestals.
Well,
Jesus, chameleon, just stop! All you ever do is talk. Look at the time. I've got to run. Honestly, Don't worry, life will be kind. Just look at me. Look at them. Look and see all around you. You'll do just fine.
Chameleon was found, a shadow of what she once was, alone in darkness and calm. Let it be known.
She rests.
She rests. For how long we do not know. A dim sparkle remains.
Thank you. Everyone, thank you so much. That was Stevie Gee on music, Jennifer Hossein playing the role of the chameleon, and Brenda Clews as the role of the chorus, and of course myself as the other voice, the evil entity, if you will. I hope it made a little more sense being performed as a microdrama, and everyone, please do check out jenniferhossein.com and brendaclews.com. Both of them are visual artists and poets and authors as well. And Allan and Stevie Gee Music.com. And Allan, I think you have a few words before we move on to the next part.
I do have a few words to say. First, thank you, Ivy, Brenda, Jennifer, and Stevie, for your lively performance of bringing to life what is on the page. And it will be interesting for those of you who get the book to see how it is set up on the page. Kind of a different creature, a chameleon. We're now going to hear a few readings of poems from the book by our special guests. The first is Jennifer Hossein. Jennifer, whom you heard very briefly as the voice of the timid chameleon. Jennifer is a visual artist, works in media such as ink, pastels, watercolors, oil paint, photography, and collage, and she's a poet. Her book, A Map of Rain Days, came out this year. The website is jenniferhossein.com. Jennifer.
Thank you, Allan. I'm so excited to be reading from Ivy's book. There's a place, and I'm going to read 3 poems. The first one is Daffodils, Yellow, White, Violent Blue. So it is these dreams I do not speak of openly, the arrhythmia, undulation overtaking me. I wish not to bring you on these waves that haunt me, yet still you ride with me. You're there, and I discern you may have the key, so I ask you to help me stop these feelings that overcome me. Eons have gone by in hyperstates. The burden of bygone days stains me indelibly. If you can, bring me out of this blue. Put me into the white light I once tasted and knew. There was a beckoning existence where I felt pain's resting place. I am sure this place was somewhere in those daffodils, yellow, white, and blue. Can we go back there? Misgivings aside, my love, I want to be with you. I'm going to read one more. It's Faltered. And I faltered, as I always do. And I falter, wavered once again, learning and yearning and always for the same things asked unsaid. And unsaid things asked, and knowing only silently all I would have done, I'm looking now and I know I must go. If I said I'm sad, and I know not why. What would it mean? Just that, and nothing more, of that I'm sure. And so I did falter again, with a surety. What does it mean? Doesn't everyone do the same? I live no differently, so why is it changed? Thank you. And thank you for these great poems, Ivy. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That was Jennifer Hossein reading 4 of my poems. And I would like to now introduce Lisa de Nikolits via webcam. She is the author of, if I'm correct, 7 books. And her most recent book, Rage Room, was just launched with Anana Publications about a month and a half ago. And she's going to read my poem, Aftermath. So Lisa, please take it away.
Great. Can everybody hear me? I hope so. Ivy, congratulations on this wonderful launch and on a fabulous collection. It's a wonderful, wonderful collection, and I'm very honored to be part of your launch this evening. Thank you for having me. And I'd like to read your poem, Aftermath. And I first read your poem, Aftermath, I think it was in November, and it meant one thing to me. And then we actually, at Inanna Publications, suffered a real tragedy. I'm just going to move to it. We suffered a terrible tragedy with the loss of our publisher, Luciana Riccitelli. And then when I read this poem again, I just felt it spoke so strongly. So I'd like to dedicate this reading to the angel that we lost, that is Luciana. And thank you, Ivy, for writing this poem that is just so perfect. Aftermath. Let not 2 falter, no, not even one. The ice is cracked, the river's running. Believe me, I see amid the trees, I was there as one of the weeds. And I miss you and what has passed as this year flew by and left us in its aftermath. We passed for ordinary, you and I, but the calm that has settled here is something to be feared. So I just feel like that is an incredibly powerful poem, and I'm sure it speaks to everybody this year as we are all left in the aftermath of one kind or another. Thank you very much for the opportunity to read that poem, Ivy. Thank you.
People can find out more about Lisa at lisawriter.com. And now Allan, and I also wanted to say, interestingly, in regard to what you had mentioned with Aftermath, that the last poem Jennifer read, called Faltered, initially, Aftermath was called Faltered number 2. And so it still is the follow-up to that poem. So if anyone rewatches this video once it is a video and no longer a live stream, they can pay attention to the words in that one as well. They are connected. And thank you again, Lisa, and for your beautiful review on minervareader.com. Everyone, I'd like to say that Lisa also does the Minerva Reader book reviews, and she's very active on the lit scene. And now I'm going to give the mic back to Allan as he introduces our next reader.
In case some of you have to leave us early, I wanted to let you know how you can order copies, get your copy of There Is a Place. And it's very simple. Well, in this time of COVID, go directly to the author or the publisher. Email Ivy if you have her email address. If you have mine, it's Allan@aeolushouse.com. Just email and we'll make the arrangements to get you the book. Our next reader, Brenda Clews, is a multimedia poet, artist, and video poet who interweaves poetry, painting, theory, dance, and video in various ways in her work. Her website is brendaclews.com. Brenda.
This has been an incredible launch. It's just
Ivy's poetry and the energy in the room and the performance piece and Allan, online, and Lisa. It's been amazing. So I'm going to read one poem that I find an extremely powerful poem. It's called Mother Dearest. Mother, mother, tell me why. Why does the world lie through its teeth? Why does the world lie fast asleep, always leaving me left here standing, aching, mother? I am still waiting, wide awake. Mother, can you see the stars crying? Can you hear the laughter dying? Do you know why people change when they are as they are and nothing is as it seems? And mother, why am I always standing where I can't be seen? Do you think I can't remember the diminished child who'd called you mother? Then watch how you'd shudder every time your eyes were closed and your ears were shut. I didn't want to believe you'd given up. Now, mother, together, if we believe there's still hope for you after, what if I told you I knew all this time that you wanted to know what I was after? If you asked, I would tell you. I was only out chasing the dying laughter. It was all I had to be running after. Still, somehow, I've run out of laughter. Mother, mother, no, please don't go. I swear upon these burnt out locks of hair. All these years I've been overlooked. All this time I've been misunderstood. After I heard, every deaf ear turned. I turned around to find all seeing eyes were actually blind. No, just a minute. Mother, please wait. I feel so alone. Why do you always go? Please, won't you warm the cold inside my heart? Please, won't you warm the cold inside my bones? Take me in. Hold me tight. Hold me close. Just this once. For only one night. Bring me in out of this cloud. Even if mercy here isn't allowed. Mommy, Mommy, my heart aches. I smile, you know, but it's all fake. I'm still laughed at. And like you, I'm an outcast. But I still feel for you. I still feel the way you do. I'm sorry, Mama. I've lost track of all the broken lines. I don't know why I made it so I'd fall behind. But I can see the prospering kings, and I can feel the crushing weight of life on your forgotten wings. Mother, I know your eyes have cried the desert dry, but mother, please, please don't die, because I am still on your side. Mother? Hello, Mother? I'm still here, waiting, wide awake, watching this world lie fast asleep. As I age and as I grow more alone, I see that what I thought was all a dream from very long ago was not a dream at all. And if you couldn't keep me small, and even if it's true, I ruined it all, neither would you let me keep you. After countless times I've heard you say it, I fear it's finally come true. You no longer love me at all, or even like you used to.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you, everyone. That was very moving, obviously, and I will just say that Brenda has a very good understanding of these things, and it's a difficult piece for me to do, and I'm honored that she could have done it and did it above justice. And so once again, that was Brenda Clews. We are going to get into, Allan will tell you more about the audience Q&A coming right up, and also the free book giveaway, where we'll have a simple quiz, and I'll introduce 2 questions, and Allan has a question. And so if you're on Google, if you're on YouTube, you can comment in real time. We also have a couple of people backstage who can answer in the virtual backstage, who can answer some questions and participate in the Q&A. Once again, the real-time comments on YouTube is the way to go, or you can email Allan at Aeolus House, at aeolushouse.com, and I will now move forward, I think, with 2 poems to end off the evening before we move into that portion, and then we will also give out the 30% discount promo code for the book. Shall I take it away then? Okay. This one is called The Last. There is a place where everything that begins ends. And in this place are the last of the most beautiful creatures: the unicorn, the sphinx, the mermaid, the artist, the Thisbe, and the housewife, the snow leopard, and the Pegasus, an angel, a rainbow that leads to the fairy. But there's also a red manticore and a minotaur, a sea serpent, and there are those who say they can't lose. And though they have doubts, whenever the pterodactyl soars overhead, some believe they can't win, while deep in their broken hearts they harbor hopes, even as the eagle soars overhead, keeping a sharp eye on the few of the once many. But we forget to mention the child, the lady, the lost, the brave, and the truth. They are here too, and often they cry from the forever consuming emptiness that has overtaken them and crept into their minds. And strangers surround them as they become ever more displaced, alienated, and sparse. They broke in and through and out of reality to come here. But despite the grass, flowers, the monarchs, nightingales, and larks, the sirens keep sounding in pain, and the unicorn still searches for others of its kind, and the mermaid still swims, yearning for dryness, the sun, its warmth, and the fairy sprinkles dust to grow lost love, and Thisbe, the housewife, and the lady share lost dreams and sacrifices made. Thank you. And I will end with this last piece. I'm just going to adjust this thing. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. It means so much to me that I simply can't say any more because it's been such a long time coming. And this final poem is called Cobblestone, and it's dedicated for you. And in fact, it is. However, I'm going to do it. Anyway, cobblestone. There is a place you can find in a rustic field where the Romans used to rule. Remnants still remain. Along an ancient wall, there lies a door. If you cross the threshold of the door, you enter an antediluvian street, and there a certain cobblestone marks the spot that leads the way to the rustic field where the grasses grow tall, concealing the wall with the ingress. But you must brave the cold and the fear and the uncertainty of it all, and all the peeps that say, no, there is nothing worth searching for. For this path is like a Matryoshka doll. To find the door, you have to strive and seek and keep on through that field. Find the wall. And fear not the dirty, mold-ridden stones. Brave the threat of wolves and voices and goblins and bats, the howling and screeching and whispering, the gargoyles and guardians who look to scare and obscure the door. Please take comfort. The door is reserved for those who seek. The field that has the wall with the door, that leads to the street that has the cobblestone, that leads the way back into the world, away from the mark that has branded you, away from the chance of finding the peace, that mystery that completes you. Heed your time and find this place. Find the door, for the cobblestone will erode as the clock ticks onward. More and more with age. In time, there will be no way to find your way to that wall that has the door that keeps you from being whole. Thank you so much. That's the end of my set. And thank you so much for watching online. And for everyone here at, I also, while I have this opportunity, before we move into Q&A, I want to thank Hugh Riley of thatchannel.com. He's been supporting artists since 2004 with thatradio.com and opened up the studio here, thatchannel.com, in 2006. It's a long time. And he's made all of this possible, including the show, my talk show, The Artiste with Ivy Reiss, which is just currently on hold during COVID. And but it will probably be coming back very soon. That being said, we have renovated the space here, and it is open for private events within a legal setting. And I want to thank Hugh Riley, and please support thatchannel.com. You can look at their website and also donate to their Patreon account. And I'm going to hand it over to Allan now to moderate the Q&A. And again, I can't express enough thanks to Allan Briesmaster of Aeolus House. And to you for tuning in and purchasing the book and just being there.
You're welcome, Ivy. I think we should go over what the best way is for people to order the book. I've said that before, but I should, I guess, really make it clear. Maybe I'm going to answer the question myself. People that have your email address or your web address can get it directly from you. People that don't know you, perhaps, or they're shy, but they know me. I will I will make the arrangements. But basically, they are your books, and eventually we'll have them in stores. I think you're going to have it in a store out in Oakville. Is that not so? But get your book now, and don't pay the middleman. You can get it directly from the author with the autograph, which is always a great feature to have.
Thank you, Alan. And it's before COVID hit. It seems like everything was before COVID, but I think that's true for most everyone. I was at Chapters Indigo in Oakville, and we had talked about distributing my book. So I simply must reach out to them, and I will do that in the near future. And I've heard that they still are open for curbside pickup. Of course, that does kind of change the dynamic of things. I think we all feel that, it's not the same. So with that in mind, and we are here right now, you can absolutely email me. That's ivy_reiss@hotmail.com is my most direct email. There's also an ivyreiss@gmail.com. And I'll let Alan give out the promo word. You can also email Alan as well. I'm happy to send you autographed copy. And also my website, ivyreiss.com, and also the artismagazine.com, which is ARTIS. We'll both have the book featured on there in the coming week or so. So all of that info will be made available, and you can always message me via Facebook as well on artismag905, and also you can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn and all of those things, but the email is definitely the best for now, or the website.
Order the book as well from Ivy or me through an email, and it's $20 is the price of the book. And are we going to throw in the mailing cost of that for those people that mentioned the launch, Ivy?
No, we're going to sweeten it. Let's sweeten up the deal and give out the promo word of Aeolus House. And that means you get 30% off, but it's only good until December 31st, 11:59 p.m. So before we get into 2021, so it's only just over 48 hours from now. And
okay.
You email that word. Email me, ivy_reiss@hotmail.com, and with the word Aeolus as the promo word, as 30% off the $20. Which, if my math is correct, I think that makes the book $16.
Well, listen, I think it's about time to wish everybody good night. Thank them for coming, joining us online, and especially staying to the very end. And I personally congratulate and commend you on your launch and your performance tonight. I'm getting a little bit hoarse, so that's a good sign that I will now say goodbye to you all, and do email us and get your copy of the book at a special price.
30% off without extra mailing costs on top. So that's a really crazy deal. And thank you so much, Alan, for hosting this event. And thank you again to thatchannel.com for making this studio space possible. It's possible for other authors to do the same thing, and other publishers as well. I think that goes without saying. And the Stevie Gee Jazz Funk Trio will come on now. So Alan, you can kick back, and everyone else can kick back, and they're going to do a few songs. The live stream will just keep going, so you can watch or tune out whenever you like. And please send me your love and best wishes in an email. I'd love to hear from you all, and I hope you enjoyed the event. Thank you so much. And thank you, Alan.